I'll be damned. The fucking video wasn't recorded. Don't you hate when that shit happens? I'm sitting here on one of George's benches, drinking my vitamin water, still feeling pretty under the weather. However, I suit up and show up, no matter what. So, even though I was talking about the tree's eye point of view, the perception, our perceptions are, as we know, based on what we've experienced, our background, our culture, what we've healed, what we haven't healed. I mean, it's based on so many things. And I've often talked about what spirit means to me. And because I was born a Roman Catholic, Italian Roman Catholic, and I also was a reborn again Christian a couple times. I figured that would work. And I was really into Buddhism for a long time. I studied religion in college, actually. And so I respect every single one of the prophets there are. God, Jesus, Buddha, Allah. I mean, there's hundreds of them, right? Because I believe, just like us, they were prophets. And it's a matter if you do the work, you do the healing work, and it encompasses a lot of things, right? And so I definitely believe that they existed. I know they existed. They were the trailblazers for their time. And oftentimes what we get caught up in is thinking that people are supposed to look a certain way. I would never consider myself a prophet. I don't identify as anything, actually. It's just being Anne-Marie, someone who's figuring this journey out, someone who can really connect to fucking trees. But Spirit has shown themselves to me in many, many different ways. I've had conversations with a lot of those previous prophets to try to gain clarity and understanding in this crazy world we live in, right? And that's why I never judge anybody for what they believe. And I'm not going to go through it again, but I've said in a previous video I did about this that all of us have different pings of light of beliefs. And if it's for the highest and greatest good, who are we to judge other people? So these last 3 years, I had to really, for me, even though it's kind of like a separate note here, I had to look at where my self-worth was. What did self-worth look like for me? What does my value of self look like for me? How can I show up for myself in every circumstance, in every way? And it hasn't been easy, especially when you've been conditioned and trained and traumatized and put in a box your whole fucking life about who you are. And then you believed it and lived it, right? And so a lot of becoming, as we know, is unbecoming of what society, our family, our culture, our back, whatever it is that we've been programmed and conditioned to believe. And I think more so now than ever, we're realizing in life that most of the things that we've been taught have been a fucking lie, right? And we're all on different parts of our journey, understanding and unlearning a lot of things. With that being said, saying that, which is okay. And that's why I tried to judge people when they talk about certain things that I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this shit really doesn't fucking matter. Why are we wasting energy talking about this? That's hard for me, because I'm just like, if it's not about higher self stuff or spiritual stuff, I really don't give a shit about it. I don't care about football. I don't care about these worldly things in that sense, politics and all that, because it's all just, it really doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't. If you know, you know. But anyway, so I've been on this long journey my whole life, but intensely for the last 3 or 4 years, of what does self-love look like? How can I show up as my authentic self in every situation? Because I was trained and programmed some horrible, horrible things about myself that weren't even fucking true. And as I uncover those things and peel back the layers of my onion, or head of lettuce, however you want to call it, I've realized how important it is to find what self-worth is to myself, and loving myself and having respect for myself and healing my inner child and healing my inner teenager. Because my inner teenager, she'd be coming out wanting to fight everybody. Everybody who knew me in high school and in my 20s, probably early 30s, I was a fighter. I used to really like to fist fight. I was really good at it. But it's not the way to solve anything. And that's how I used to roll with things, because I was just so angry inside. I wasn't, you know. But anyway, and so it looks differently. And for me, it was important to understand what self-love and self-worth looked like for me, and how I continually let myself down by allowing people to play in my face, by allowing people to cross my boundaries, by allowing people to not cherish and honor and respect my time, energy, finances, or whatever it is, and not seeking anything outside of myself to make me happy. Literally not seeking anything outside of myself. Nothing materialistic, not a person, not a place, not a thing, nothing but everything inside of me to make me happy. It pisses a lot of people off when they see you naturally happy. Like, how can you be happy and you're homeless, so then your nice fancy red car got repoed, and then you lost your job, you lost your house, and you lost all that shit, ha ha ha. Still happy. Because I found worth in myself. And my whole point of this, even though the last video this sounded so much better, whether people believe it or not, people would still try to bind you and do love spells on you and try to keep you in contracts that you didn't even know you were a part of, right? And for me, having self-worth, you can't put a love spell or bind somebody to something that they're not anymore. So if someone tries to bind you to them in a narcissistic, or like you've always been a people pleaser like I used to be, if you were always a people pleaser and you've broken that huge cycle, congratulations, first of all, because it's not easy. Especially if you're someone like me, who it wasn't until my late 40s I realized, like, holy shit, I'm surrounded by them. This whole time, like, I had no idea, even as a social worker, even with all my education, I was so in the dark about these crazy, demonic, evil entities surrounding my family, my community. I mean, everywhere. Hi, Mr. B. He's landed on my phone. See him? There's all. Let me see him. If you see him. Oh, he landed on me. Hi. So, and what kept me bound and stuck in those cycles was because I didn't heal from them. When we have an unhealed wound, it's easier for people to attach themselves. Even if you don't believe in spells. I mean, I guess there's still people who don't understand the depths of how that stuff works. But even if you don't believe in it, there's still an energetic cord and attachment of emotions, feelings, experiences. We have these energetic cords attaching us to old things. And that's why oftentimes we feel like we'll pull back. And people rely and expect that from us not to heal. Because when we heal those wounds, they can no longer bind us. They can no longer do the love spells or the binding spells or confusion spells. When we learn how to heal those wounds within ourselves and become the best version of ourselves and have the self-worth, they can't attach that stuff to us anymore. And that was my biggest thing I've learned, especially this last year, is like, oh, the more I love myself, the more I could detach from people, places, and things that no longer serve me. They have no pull on me. There's nobody from my fucking past that I want back in my life. Nobody. There's no one I dated, an old friend. There's nobody I want back. And anytime I felt a pull towards somebody, like say somebody I dated, or and they did me dirty. Anytime I felt a pull back from that, I'm like, what do I need to release? Because I can feel them pulling on my energy, trying to get me to have thoughts of nostalgia about us, when we know that's not what really happened. I mean, we're not even talking about the cameras in my place, or the gang stalking, or the poisoning of me, and all that stuff. Like, I'm just going to forget all that shit that people did to me. But once I've learned to truly love myself and have self-worth, I no longer felt a pull towards these old people, old places, old situations. I saw them for clearly who they were, the perception I needed to, and Spirit wanted me to. I knew this message probably all over the place. I was trying to think of everything I covered in the last video because it was like butter. It was smooth, but I guess it's the one we were supposed to do. So that's why it's important to heal certain wounds. And so you don't have that energetic cord open for people to still attach themselves to you. If they know you still feel abandoned, they'll still try to come and attack that abandoned mood. If they know you don't love yourself, they'll come and try to attack certain ways for you to continue not to love yourself and not to have self-worth, and put you in situations that recreate that trauma. I hope you're